Yes, it has been 5 years. 5 years in the expat world is the ultimate filter. Most people make it to the 6-month mark. You're still in the honeymoon phase. A few more make it to the 2-year mark, but by year 5, guess what? You're not a tourist anymore. And by that time, you've seen everything. You've navigated the bureaucracy and you've dealt with all the hidden costs. And most Americans say, Jay, I want that life. They see the highlight reels on my YouTube and my IG and they figure I can do that as well. But the truth is, most of them couldn't. And it's not because they're not capable of doing it, it's because they're addicted to a level of certainty and inconvenience that doesn't exist here. So today I'm breaking down the raw 5-year reality of living here in Dominican Republic and why I'm not leaving. So let's talk about the expat burnout. Around the 18-month mark, you start to hit a wall. The island vibes that you were experiencing in the beginning turn into island inconveniences, and you get tired of being that foreigner. And this is where most Americans fail. They spend all their time saying, this is how we do it in America. But to make it to the 5-year mark, you gotta kill your old self. You gotta stop looking for America in the Caribbean. I survived because I stopped trying to change DR. Instead, I let DR change me. And most people's ego is way too big to allow that transition to happen. And a lot of times people think language is the biggest hurdle here. I agree, it's one of the biggest hurdles. But another big hurdle is the culture, the psychology of time. In the United States, we are trained to believe that when we pay for a service, it needs to be done right now. So when you hear people say mañana, that doesn't mean tomorrow. It just means not today. And if you try to fight the pace of Dominican Republic, it's going to break you. I consider myself a high achiever and I like results, but I had to dismantle my ego in order to adapt to the lifestyle here. And here's a big difference between the US and DR. In the US, we rely mostly on systems. In Dominican Republic, you rely mostly on the people. If your banker likes you, your loan process goes through quicker. If the auto mechanic knows your name, your car gets fixed. And Americans struggle here because they always want to speak to the manager instead of building these relationships. And after 5 years, you know what I realized? Dominican Republic is a relationship system. So now let's talk a little bit about cost of living. And I know this varies between person to person, but today I'm giving you my perspective. And after living here 5 years, I personally believe the type of lifestyle that I want to live, $3,000 is my freedom number. $3,000 a month in a major city basically gets you a roommate and a commute. But let's look at my strategy behind it. And for me, I'm not paying for just 4 walls. I'm paying for a building that has 24-hour security, has a concierge, it has a backup generator, so I don't have to worry about my power going out for hours. And listen, you can go cheaper, but sometimes I see people go way too cheap and they get frustrated. For me, I pay for reliability. Guys, I want to pause for a second because if you're watching this and you're thinking, man, this sounds nice. Living in Santo Domingo may be something I want to do, but you want to get real clarity, I created something for that. It's called the Santo Domingo Life Bundle. It includes 6 in-depth ebooks, 5 bonus guides, and it's going to walk you through cost of living, housing, healthcare, schools, and what it's like to live day to day right here in Santo Domingo. I'm gonna link everything in the video description below and explore it at your own pace. When it comes to shopping, I don't go to the grocery store and buy Kellogg's all the time and Kraft. You'll end up spending $800 a month when you're buying those imported products. For me, my basket looks like this: 90% local, 10% imports. If you want to save money, you have to change your palette to match the land. And because my overhead is capped, I have additional money to put back into my businesses and also invest. Where some expats here, they'll take that extra money and they'll blow it on going out, partying, drinking, which is fine if that's the lifestyle you want. I have no quarrels with that. I just spend mine on assets. And because I know math is the scariest part for people, I created what I call the DR cost of living calculator. It breaks down exactly what you would spend per month based on the lifestyle that you want to live. I give that away for free when you join my weekly newsletter. The link's in the video description. Grab the calculator, run the numbers, and you'll be surprised how close you are to making this move. And another question I get is it safe? And this is where I think most Americans don't really understand. In America, we rely on the police mostly for safety. And not saying you can't do that here, because you can. But in DR, it's just a little bit different. You rely on your social capital. Because when you first get here, you kind of feel like a target because you're an American. But after 5 years, I no longer feel like that. You know why? Because I built respect in my community. I learned to have respect for the culture. If people know you, that means you've had that 10-minute conversation at the Comado. If you've integrated into the local vibe, the community will protect you. To me, if you isolate yourself, you don't speak to your neighbors, you're less safe, in my opinion, here. Many Americans are afraid to step out of their security bubble and actually meet people here. And a lot of people like to assume I have this unfair advantage because my wife is Dominican. And that is somewhat true. But the last 5 years, I still had a master class in humility. And I have to admit, she's been my culture translator. I had to understand that a 10-minute conversation with the family can mean a down payment on a business deal. Americans are blunt. Dominicans are relational. The hand gestures, the way they move their eyes, the handshake culture. If you don't learn the vibe of the room, you'll always feel like a tourist. In America, we value independence. In DR, that's a sign of weakness. Here, you need the machinery of a family network. The uncles, the cousins, those are the people who know who to trust. You have to be okay with a 20-person lunch on Sunday. If you don't like being part of a collective, guess what? You'll be gone by 2 years. I'm the type of person where I'm wired for maximum output. Dominicans are wired for maximum connection. I've learned that sitting at a Comado for 2 hours doing nothing but conversing is probably one of the best things I can do for my social standing here. You must trade your American authority for Dominican humility. So when I first moved here, the goal wasn't just to be an extractor and take advantage of the affordable living. It was also to be an investor. I've started speaking at investors camps here. You know why? Because DR is a land of massive opportunity if you know the local rules. So why don't most Americans invest here? Because of fear. They think the DR is unstable. They're afraid to decouple themselves from the US system. But after living here for 5 years, I see Dominican Republic as the last frontier for real opportunity. And I see the growth potential. That's why I'm putting my money where my life is. I'm not just thinking about affordable living, I'm thinking about how I can build a legacy in a developing market. So after 5 years, I'm not that same productive man that left the United States. However, I'm still a high achiever, but I've traded my busyness in for presence. And when I say most Americans can't do this, it's not an insult. It's an observation that I've seen where most people cannot let go of that old life that they were sold in the United States. Listen, it's hard to be the person that doesn't understand the joke. It's hard being the person that has to be the student again. But on the other side of that discomfort is a level of freedom that your money just can't buy. So remember guys, if you're looking to invest, you can't invest here alone. You need boots on the ground, some people that you can trust. Being here for 5 years, it taught me one of my most important allies is my realtor. And for me, that's Milta. She's someone that I can trust to navigate the complexities of this market here in Dominican Republic. That way you don't make all these gringo mistakes that has cost people thousands of dollars. So if you're serious about putting roots here in the Dominican Republic, I've made it easy for you. Click the link in the video description where it says, I want to invest in real estate. Fill out the form, submit it, and it will put you directly in contact with Milta. She'll bridge the gap between thinking about it and actually doing it. So let me ask you this last question. Are you afraid of DR? Or are you afraid of who you will actually have to become in order to survive here? Leave it in the comment section below. And until then, guys, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're going to live your best life. And I'm out. Peace.
Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing,